Ascent Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents the Amp It Up Fieldbook, a guide for leaders, teams, and facilitators, by Frank Slootman, narrated by David Marantz. Limit of liability / disclaimer of warranty. While the publisher and author have used their best efforts in preparing this book, they make no representations or warranties with respect to the accuracy or completeness of the contents of this book, and specifically disclaim any implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. No warranty may be created or extended by sales representatives or written sales materials. The advice and strategies contained herein may not be suitable for your situation. You should consult with a professional where appropriate. Further, readers should be aware that websites listed in this work may have changed or disappeared between when this work was written and when it is read. Neither the publisher nor authors shall be liable for any loss of profit or any other commercial damages, including but not limited to special, incidental, consequential, or other damages. Preface. The role of leadership is to drive performance to change the status quo. The most effective leaders are able to identify opportunities within their organizations and pursue them to attain exceptional outcomes. They amp it up. When people ask me about my secret to success, they may be surprised that the explanation is so simple. Anyone can do it. Most organizations are underperforming, whether their people realize it or not. The secret to amping it up is finding the slack that naturally exists and eliminating it by setting bigger goals, a faster pace, and a higher intensity. It's about pushing the organization to perform at a much higher level and reaping the results of your amplified efforts. If anybody can do this, then why do so many organizations remain complacent? In some cases, it's simply because it's hard. Change is always hard, and amping it up will push people beyond what they have grown comfortable with. As a leader, you may become unpopular. People who don't keep up will leave. But those are the trade-offs needed to make meaningful change. When you give up the good enough mindset and amplify your expectations, you gain far more than you lose. In other cases, organizations plod along with the status quo because they don't know how to get started. While the approach is simple, the execution is not. This field book forms the bridge that can help you move from the concepts described in Amp It Up to implementation in your own organization. How to use the field book. If you've already read Amp It Up, you know that I focus on execution. That's because even the best strategy will fail if the execution is weak. The field book benefits from this approach by focusing on practical ways to execute the recommendations from Amp It Up. This field book's activities will help you create a concrete path to executing the ideas and guidance in Amp It Up. Each chapter in this field book corresponds to a chapter in the main book, so I recommend you read or revisit each chapter there before digging into these activities. Most of the exercises will help you figure out what steps you must take to realize the principles described in the chapter. By applying the concepts from the book to your own situation, you will understand what to do and how to do it. The questions in this field book will lead you to develop a plan to make those changes a reality. If you haven't amped it up before, you may need to prepare yourself for the magnitude of change you are pursuing. To this end, some of the exercises will help you shift your mindset so you can be ready to make a major impact on your organization or team. Who the field book is for. This book is for leaders at every level. No matter where you are in your career or what kind of organization you are part of, startup, nonprofit, established firm, small business, you can be a leader. Drivers wanted. To use the terminology from the book, the people who will benefit most from these activities are drivers. Drivers are the people who are invested in solving problems and improving their organization. They get their satisfaction from making things happen, and they bring much-needed energy to their team. When they face an amped-up goal or daunting project, drivers say, "Let's do it." Your organization needs drivers. As you start to amp it up, people who are passengers, the ones who are happy with the status quo, will leave, and that's okay, because passengers struggle in an amped-up environment. Drivers, by contrast, are the people who kick the culture into overdrive to support the massive changes that are necessary to fulfill your mission and can execute at ever higher levels. Regardless of their place in the hierarchy, drivers will recognize value in the activities here. Middle managers can use these activities to amp up their team's performance and to collaborate with like-minded department heads to give shared initiatives a boost. People on a management track will benefit from shifting their thinking to explore new ways to solve problems and tighten the slack in their area of control. Entry-level employees can sharpen their ability to see beyond the boundaries of their current roles and make significant contributions to their teams. People at all levels can use the strategies, techniques, and activities here to chart a career path that supports their ambitions. After all, drivers are going places. Hypergrowth is not just for startups. My career has been mostly in the tech sector, which is dominated by fast-paced startups and entrepreneurial ventures. But Amp It Up is for everyone. While startups' do-or-die culture can be an excellent environment for amping it up, other organizations can benefit just as much, if not more, from the activities in this fieldbook. The approach is broad enough that all kinds of organizations can use the activities to execute in a way that supports their mission. There is no reason to follow my precise footsteps, especially if they don't lead you to where you want to go. The examples and stories from my experience serve as a starting point, and the activities here can help you adapt them for your own organization. Established companies often fall into patterns of incrementalism. Shareholders and executives tend to suffer from short-termism and risk aversion, looking to progress a tiny bit each quarter. Long-term, this slow but steady approach often turns out to be a death sentence. Large, well-known companies that play it safe likely have many opportunities for tightening up slack and boosting performance if they are motivated to set goals that would incentivize it. This fieldbook can help drivers in these firms plot a plan for meaningful growth. Although nonprofit organizations may not be motivated by profits, hypergrowth would allow them to speed toward initiatives, broaden their mission, and have a greater impact on whomever they serve. Consider what you could accomplish if you set fundraising goals that were 25% higher and reached them. Getting started. The activities in the Amp It Up Fieldbook are designed so you can begin right away with minimal friction. I recommend you start with Chapter 1 and complete each chapter sequentially. As you complete individual activities, be honest with yourself, but don't be content with the status quo. This book isn't intended to reinforce what you're already doing. It's to help you achieve far more, so open yourself to ideas and projects that feel difficult or challenging. That's the point. Organizations can get the most out of the Amp It Up Fieldbook if leaders amp it up simultaneously. Not only can this have a snowball effect that gets people thinking bigger and bigger, but it also helps cross-functional teams and
Sample complete. Ready to continue?